Captain Marvel is a new film directed by Anna Boden and Arthur Fleck. Captain Marvel is a new film in the MCU, and for those of you who don't know who Captain Marvel is, well, Captain Marvel is a character from the Marvel Comics, and before she was named Captain Marvel, she was called Miss Marvel, but a few writers, had their ideas of stories of different story takes of Captain Marvel, aka Miss Marvel, and one writer decided to change her name to Miss Marvel to Captain Marvel. So Brie Larson plays Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel is essentially brought in to be the new face of the MCU. Then there's lots of controversy revolving around this film. Brie Larson, she created this movement, but essentially she just wanted more women in the movie reviewing industry. But people are taking it the wrong way, and that's how it leads to anti-white men, anti-men. I just feel like that Brie Larson is trying to send a message, but the way she's sending the message is coming out too hard or too harsh or too strong. And this movie stars Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, Jude Law. So Brie Larson plays Carol Danvers, and this movie focuses on her trying to discover memories of her past. And then she was a part of this war between two races, the Skrulls and Kree. And then during that war, she crash lands on Earth, and she discovers more about herself. And then she discovers that she once lived on Earth before. And we have the movie Captain Marvel. Me personally, outside the controversial stuff, I am a fan of Brie Larson. I loved her performance in The Room. Captain Marvel, on a visual CGI standpoint, deserves an Oscar for what they just did to Samuel L. Jackson's face. They did a really good job of de-aging Samuel L. Jackson to make Samuel L. Jackson look like himself in the 90s. And watching CGI Samuel L. Jackson, it was unrecognizable. It's like Disney went back in time and snatched Samuel L. Jackson from 1990 and put him in this movie. It is unbelievable, and I'm sorry if I'm having a fanboy moment right here, but I was just amazed how great Samuel L. Jackson CGI was. God damn. The chemistry between Samuel L. Jackson and Brie Larson's characters, Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers, they definitely worked on screen. They had a buddy cop relationship in this film, and it totally worked in this film. There was times where I chuckled at times. In some of the MCU films, the MCU is really known for giving out the jokes, but as for the jokes in this film, some of the jokes worked, some of the jokes didn't. But the best thing about this film, there wasn't a cringy joke. Outside of the praises, I really can't think of anything else I really would admire or praise with, but there are some things I have to give gratitude towards. But outside of that, I feel like this is a Marvel film that we want, but not essentially something we need. It has all the elements that you want in a Marvel film, but none of the elements you need in a Marvel film. You need something that the audience can gravitate towards. You need more emotional buildup. It really has to do with the writing in this film. When I was watching this movie and I left the theater, and I thought to myself, do you wow me? Do you wow me? And she didn't give me the wow factor. The film never showed Carol Danvers' vulnerability, undying grit to become a hero, like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman didn't shy away from showing Diana's vulnerability. Also, the story revolving around Carol Danvers' past, fragmented past, it just doesn't really make sense. There is a possible way they could have made this film a lot better revolving around that fragmented past. Only if Carol Danvers went through a personal journey and discovers who she was through her personal journey. But in this film, the film took an easy route by having her meet an AI, and then there is a series of montage scenes and flashback scenes where it kind of jumbles the different time periods of the main character's life, and it felt a little bit jumbled, and I have a hard time trying to find a sense of what direction they were trying to go during no montage scene. But I do like the fish out of the water scenario. Scenes revolving around the fish out of water scenes where Carol Danvers does her everyday routine and the other people around her is looking at her like she's crazy. Those scenes were actually funny to me. Another movie where a character is trying to discover who she is is Alita. And the best thing about that movie is Alita discovered who she is through her personal journey. And that's what that film did that made me connect with Alita a little bit more. So now let's go back to Brie Larson's performance. Now like I said, there were spurts of potential with likely the writing was holding back her performance. There was a scene where it possibly showed some range of her emotion, but it was just totally tame. There is a scene where she discovers more about her past and she meets a friend from her past. And there is like this emotional scene revolving around Carl Danvers and her friend. And there was like this emotional scene that was building up. And it could have had more impactfulness to me and personally if I felt some more emotion with that scene. And when that emotional scene was happening, I really couldn't get into that scene as much as I wanted to because of it. I had to say, thanks to the poor writing of Captain Marvel in the story revolving around her fragmented past, Brie Larson didn't really do a good job with her performance. I'm not saying I don't want to see her ever again. I want to see, maybe with better writing, hopefully going forward into the next film. Basically, this movie feels like a phase 1 movie. It's really basic, no really good stylistic choices throughout. It just felt 1-2 punch, 1-2 punch, 1-2 punch, 1-2 punch, here you go. And there are some Marvel films that has some stylistic choices in this film, like the Russo brothers with their visceral styles in Civil War, or you have Wati Katiki, or whatever her director's name, in Thor Ragnarok. In Thor Ragnarok, the best thing about that movie is this outstanding visuals. And for this movie, the only thing that I'm going to remember this movie is the outstanding visuals for Samuel L. Jackson and the cat and the end credit scene. Those are the 3 things that I can actually remember about this movie, not actually Captain Marvel. I'm not essentially saying that this movie is actually bad, but I'm just saying there are some things that could have worked out to make this film a little bit better and maybe stand out from the top tiers best movies in the MCU. Maybe it could have been on the same tier as Black Panther, Infinity War, because they were hyping this movie to be on that level. So I'm going to put the expectations on that level. If this film does not reach those expectations, it's a disappointing film. I'm going to have to give Miss Marvel a Michael Keaton Batman. This is just an average at best film. This has some good fun with it. It's not really memorable, but I'm looking forward to seeing Captain Marvel in Endgame. Also, there's this plot twist revolving around the Skrulls in this film. Now, that more than likely will be the most talked about topic in this whole entire movie. For me personally, it rubs me the wrong way. You can find some good enjoyment with this film. It's not the best movie in the MCU, but going forward, I'm looking forward to seeing more Captain Marvel. So guys, don't take my word for it. Go see it for yourself. Guys, that's my review of Captain Marvel. Have you seen Captain Marvel? What are your thoughts on Captain Marvel? Comment below and let's talk about it. And I'll see you guys in the next review. And if you like everything you see and you agree, subscribe to my channel and join me in the Batman family. I'll have more Batman-tastic reviews on the way. You have been warned. Till then,